Why big data is a big deal. What is big data? Big data is data collections that are so enormous and complex that traditional data management software, hardware, and analysis processes are incapable of dealing with them. Characteristics of big data. The characteristics of big data are volume, velocity, value, variety, and veracity. The volume of data is expected to grow tenfold by 2025 at 163 zettabytes. The velocity of data is the rate at which new data is being generated. Value refers to the worth of the data when it comes to making decisions. Variety of data comes in structured and unstructured data. The characteristics of structured data is information that is well defined, such as product, financial, and inventory data. Examples of unstructured data are social media, phone messages, and photos. Lastly, veracity is a measure of the quality of the data that answers questions to decide if it is trusted and reliable data to make decisions. Where does data come from? According to the article, data comes from daily life and is acquired through phones, credit cards, computers, sensor-equipped buildings, and transportation and infrastructure. What is algorithm? According to King, Weatherhead University professor, the revolution of big data has improved statistical and computational methods. Moore's law states that number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years, and the cost of the computer is halved. This means that computer speeds and capabilities would increase while we pay less for them. Facing a mountain of data. One of King's colleagues faced a mountain of data that would cost him over $2 million for a computer that would analyze this data. King and his students instead produced an algorithm that would do the same thing this computer would do in just 20 minutes. They produced this on a laptop in just 2 hours. A movement. Knowledge is being created by visualizing data and linking data sets. According to the article, there is an appetite for the new field that Harvard University Data Science is attracting students from multiple fields such as law, design, government, and medicine. A new master's program in computational biology and quantitative genetics were introduced at Harvard University. Big data and marketing. Marketers such as Netflix, Amazon, Target, and credit card companies use what we call recommendation engines. They use information to make purchase suggestions for what to watch on Netflix, what to buy on Amazon, and even detect pregnancy like Target did by developing an algorithm by tracking purchases. Credit card companies mine data to evaluate the risk of default by customers. Seguro Popular. Gary King was hired by Julio Frank, Dean of HSPH, to design and implement what Frank calls the largest single experimental design to evaluate a social program in the world. Around 2000, Frank took office as the time Minister of Health for Mexico, and during that time, he created and implemented a new healthcare reform. This was done due to 4 million families being ruined by healthcare expenses every year. King had to invent new methods to analyze data of Seguro Popular due to the complications of running an experiment while the program was in progress. Dozens of countries have studied and emulated Seguro Popular because of the rigorous research and data that went into it. King was able to make community comparison between those communities that received the first stages of Seguro Popular to the demographically similar communities that had not received it yet. In just 10 months, King was able to uncover that Seguro Popular had protected families from catastrophic expenditures that came with illness. Nathan Eagle. Nathan Eagle is described as an adjunct assistant professor at HSPH and self-described engineer, whose work focused on cell phone data that was one of the first people to use unstructured data to help improve public health. In 2007, he was drawn by the growing African mobile market and moved to a rural village in Kenya in search of helping improve people's lives. He realized he would help more people by sharing his skills and started teaching at the University of Nairobi, where he taught mobile application development. While there, he recruited nurses at the blood banks to text in current blood supply to keep track of the levels. In the beginning, there was success in getting nurses to text, but about a month in, the project had failed due to nurses not texting in data. And after reviewing what caused the failure, Eagle worked with most of the mobile operators in East Africa and was able to add a simple script to their system, which gave nurses a credit of about 10 cents. This led nurses re-engaging in the project, and the extra penny worked as a thank you for their efforts. Radius of generation. Eagle's next project was in Rwanda, where he created models of people's lives, which he termed radius of generation. He uncovered patterns in a particular village where he realized that when people stopped moving, it was due to an outbreak of a communicable disease, or so he thought. He actually uncovered that when the villages were flooding, the radius of generation decreased, which in turn caused the village to be at risk of outbreaks. After all this research, he was able to work with local individuals and paid them to complete survey questions to know what is happening in remote villages. He went on to develop JANA, which is survey technology that gathers and links self-reported information to larger data sets. Risk. According to Professor of Management Practice Willie Shih, big data is a fundamentally different way of doing experimental design and has caused rethinking of the way social scientists collect data. She states that searching for patterns in huge data sets or data dredging is a risky approach, which Eagle agrees with. Eagle believes researchers should still ask the right questions, test, and determine the hypothesis. He also believes that these skills in big data should be integrated into foundational courses for undergraduates. Safeguarding information. Eagle and Professor John Quakerbush equally share concerns over safeguarding information, opening information to researchers, and coming up with data usage policies to have the ability to share data that could potentially improve lives. By pairing consent with data security, Quakerbush believes privacy can be achieved by providing access only to those authorized to the information. Human Genome Project. The first Human Genome Project took 5 to 15 years to complete and cost from $1 to $3 billion. By 2009, it was taking a year and it cost $100,000. And now it can be completed in 24 hours and cost about $1,000. Microbes. Curtis Hutterhauer, an associate professor at HSPH, studies the functions of human microbes and states that there is still so much to learn. He has studied microbes in a study to find out what microbes are and how they got there. Such research could potentially lead to administering more targeted antibiotics to help treat or even potentially prevent diseases. In order to effectively complete these studies, massive computational capability is needed. Luckily, Amazon has donated server time to help support such studies. Visualization. Researchers face the challenge of making sense of the relationship between distinct information, but visualization is a powerful tool that facilitates this understanding. Oncologists are able to use visualization of gene sequence inactivation data with cancer types, stages, treatments, and outcomes. Using visualization and reconstruction of visuals of neural connections of the brain and providing high-resolution images, which are labeled and identified by a system. Radio astronomers are able to use software for linking and visualizing large telescope datasets, and astronomers are able to use visualization as exploratory techniques. Visualization also has a place in language and literature by helping with the study of collections, by helping tell stories, learn about the collection, and answer questions about the whereabouts of the collections.